pastors, a woman and a man, have done is not just what they do on Sundays in their church, but they created a free mental health clinic for the community, not just if you go to the church or not, but for the entire community. Because I also believe that this has got to be about solutions and remedies and mental health. And I believe the sister said it, and I know someone else said it, that word healing. That word healing is really critical, because we have been traumatized as a people. Every time, and in the age of social media, there's no way you can. Every time we see someone, barbecuing while black, sleeping while black, arrested at Starbucks because you're black. I mean, think of all the traumas that we deal with, and then internalized stuff being passed around, people sexually violating people in the case of R. Kelly and other folks. You cannot tell me that there's not a need for not just spiritual healing, but mental, emotional healing. Because it's not like there was a mass therapy session when slavery ended. It was just like, go on, y'all free, figure it out.
Absolutely, that's good.
While also dealing with white terrorism in the form of lynchings and bombing our communities like Tulsa, Oklahoma. We know these stories, but unfortunately, we also were taught during slavery was not to talk about stuff.
Right.
Not talk about it. And that's the danger. When you don't talk about stuff, you never heal. You never heal.
That's great. And I think that it really points to our topic, hurt people. And guess what?
Yeah.
We're going to continue to perpetuate that if there's not some type of interruption, and not just spiritually, psychologically as well. Now, I'm a pastor and I believe in the spiritual empowerment and stuff, but I believe that there must be a change of thinking. Absolutely. There has to be a renewing of the mind, as the Bible says. And
Pastor, that word that you're using, interruption, is one of the best words I've ever heard. I think that's brilliant, and that needs to be said everywhere.
Yeah.
Interruption. I agree with you.
We need that.
I agree with you.
We need some of that.
Yes,
we need some divine interruption, and we need some, and that's from God. And I teach that. We need divine interruption, and that's from God. However, we also need medical interruption. We need to sit on the couch and get some therapy. We need people to help us learn how to think and talk some things through. You're talking about that post-traumatic syndrome. I believe every African American should be treated, compensated for that. I'm serious. I mean, because of what we
our
have
daily experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, this conversation has helped me. It has, because I can go and approach a body of congregants and give them a different perspective, because now I don't see this literally as an R. Kelly issue. However, he has issues. But
he's a victim of the system.
It's bigger than that. It's a teaching moment now. I can bring awareness to families and communities and say that, hey, we need to educate ourselves in a greater way and really get to the root problem of things. This has been good.
And even in these communities where, of course, poverty is not going to be fixed overnight. So people who live in these areas, all of their financial problems are not going to be fixed, but it definitely is the mentalities that do have to be taught. Because like in this situation, even if you're in this impoverished state, there has to be somebody to teach young girls signs, to teach young men how to treat young girls, to teach family how to be family but not protect predators.
Absolutely.
To teach things like that.
Tell on the uncle. Uncle Bobby needs some help.
Yeah, enough of this hush hush. Yeah. I mean, I still have friends whose families are well off, but they don't go to the doctor. Like, they will not go to a doctor until you see a bone. Right. And don't even talk to me about therapy. You're fine. You'll get over it. Cry it out, And it's like that type of mentality.
Just walk it off.
Right.
Just walk it off.
Absolutely.
So it's really not even in impoverished places. It's everywhere. That's it's part of our culture.
I mean, I grew up poor. I have traveled through the black middle class and black upper class. I would say it is just as bad, if not worse,
of
the serious emotional issues and things that we don't want to talk about and keep hush hush.
Absolutely.
And it's to our detriment. She's right. It's to our detriment.
Well, listen, guys, this has been a very loaded conversation, and I'm sure that we have not scratched the surface on anything, but we have passed on and we've conversed and we've dealt with some great information. Brother Kevin Powell, man, thank you so much, man.
So powerful.
For your information and everything that you've shared, man.
Absolutely.
Well, praise be to God, and I learned a lot from you all listening. I just want to thank you for having me to be a part of this. Is what we need: civil conversation. We can agree to disagree on things, but we don't have to hate each other. We can still love each other. That's what I appreciate. You know,
exactly. And Kevin, we certainly hope that you will come back and join us.
Yes, we need a part 2.
We would love to talk about some other hot topics and have that candid dialogue, and we just really appreciate it, and we really appreciate the issues that you raised today.
Absolutely. Thinbad, what's your position, man? Thinbad, what is your position?
We need to have the deeper discussion about all of these other isms that surround this, that create this kind of thing, and let this kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
And stop turning the blind eye and continue to just kind of, protect this community. This is what we need to do. As you said, interrupt the foolishness.
And we have one more comment. What was that?
Yeah, we do have one more comment, and this chatter said that how on earth can anyone imagine that drug dealing and pimping can help their families, especially pimping? Dealing something like weed or hallucinogens, yeah, I can see how someone could think that cash from dealing drugs like this can help their families, but pimping, nope, that's straight sociopathville. Pimps care about nobody but themselves. Otherwise, good program. And certainly we appreciate all the comments of our callers. Did anyone want to
I just want to say
that? And thank you, Chatter, for that comment. We appreciate all aspects and all perspectives.
I want to say that by no means in our discussion are we condoning any type of illegal behavior. Right. We are not saying that pimping is good, selling drugs are good, or anything like that. I believe all of it is illegal and is frowned upon by God as well as us. I think we use that as an example of a mentality that some individuals embrace because of what was done to them. Someone who was abused sometimes have the probability of abusing another in the form of control, in the form of physical abuse or verbal abuse. I mean, people are sick, and sometimes they're sick because something happened to them. And so I want the chat person to understand that we are not condoning pimping. I mean, we don't condone any of that.
And if I could just jump in, Kevin, I just want to bring it back to Dr. King. The last thing that he was trying to organize, as we all know, was a poor people's campaign. Dr. King was very clear that what does it matter that you can sit on the bus, anywhere on the bus stop, if you have no money to get on the bus? What does it matter you can sit at the lunch counter if you have no money to buy a sandwich? And so we also have to have a real conversation about poverty. No matter where I go in the world, and I've been tremendously blessed in my life, I still see the world through the eyes of folks who come from the bottom. And I just think even when I hear politicians, mainstream politicians talking about the middle class, I'm like, all these issues we're talking about, a lot of it are class issues, and we got to be very, very, very inclusive of everyone and understand that we're not going to have a critique of poverty and how it perpetuates everything that we're talking about. This the legal behavior, what some people consider immoral behavior, et cetera. It's all what the pastor said. There's a root cause for all of this stuff, and I believe a lot of it has to do with the economic structure that we live under, where a very small percentage has so much wealth, and the rest of us are just struggling. And if you're poor, you're really struggling. When you're really struggling, you're going to prey on each other. That's what ends up happening.
That's good. That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good. And you really don't care about someone else. You try to do what you need to do so you can get by. And it's the survival mode. And I was saying, and I want to stress that, it's a survival mentality. And when you're in survival mode, listen, by all means necessary, you will do what you need to do to get by. And that's what we were talking about. So,
and just to clarify, because I'm pretty sure that derived from what I said. And when I said that as a means of providing, I think people forget that pimping doesn't always mean like you having all these girls. Like, pimping can be used the same way as selling drugs is used. It's just making profit off people instead of substances.
Understood.
So, I understand the ego and the mentality behind it, but at the end of the day, money's money. People make money in crazy ways. So, Yes, but by all means, not condoning it, but just to reel it in a little bit and explain.
Well, this has been a great discussion, guys. It is very obvious that hurt people can hurt people. The allegations and stories we have heard this evening are dreadful and hurtful. My emotions are all over the place when I think about parents who missed the obvious signs and overlooked them because of the allure of stardom. When I think about the victims who will have scars and more painful than any surgical procedure could produce. Or when I think about the innocence of young adulthood that was snatched from the grasp of these young ladies, R. Kelly or any other person that is in the business of hurting people, this behavior represents the worst that society has to offer. Although some coward may have robbed you or of your innocence, it does not extend an invitation for you to do the same thing to others. Let's knock it off. Turn yourself in and get some help. To the industry, take off the blinders and take a stand, because there are hundreds of talented artists who can make great music and uphold the sanctity of decency, pride, and respect. And I want to say this too, that this was a show of awareness.
Yes.
And I don't believe we scratched the surface of the true issues, but we have brought awareness. We appreciate the callers, the chat people, our guests, the Chief and Beezy, as well as Thin Bad and Brother Kevin Powell. You're a bad brother, man. You guys are tough. And that's all the time we have this week. Thank you. And as we always say, thank you for allowing us to give it to you straight, no chaser. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been listening to Straight No Chaser. So join us next week for more hot topics. And also, you can always catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, iHeartRadio.